Hello, good evening. Welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I'm the host of this show. So we're doing an episode of Look Back at a Classic Rock Album, and the album we've chosen for today is Pink Floyd's A Momentary Lapse of Reason. You can see it kind of opens up too. So we got the kind of the back half of the cover kind of goes with the front half of the cover to make this endless stream of beds going back into infinity. I wonder how much that cost to put that together, eh? And then, of course, it's got all your songs and everything here, all your information. So this was released September the 7th, 1987, their 13th studio album. Pink Floyd's A Momentary Lapse of Reason, recorded at Astoria in Mayfair, Britannia Row in London, England, or Audio International in London, England, A&M Village Recorder, and Can-Am in Los Angeles. Yeah, sorry, my handwriting was a little distorted there. It was on an angle. It's about 51 minutes in length. EMI and Columbia record labels, and of course Bob Ezrin and David Gilmour doing the production part of this album. So appearing on here is, of course, the members of Pink Floyd. David Gilmour, vocals, guitars, keyboards, fretless bass and drum programming sequencers. Nick Mason, drums and spoken vocals and sound effects. Richard Wright, backing vocals, piano, Hammond organ, and synthesizers. In addition to those, we have a host of people who appeared on this album, not the least of which is Bob Ezrin. I'm going to take my glasses off because it's a little far away so I can read it. Keyboards, percussion, sequencers, John Karen on keyboards, Patrick Leonard on synthesizers, Bill Payne, Hammond organ, Michael Landau, I wonder if that's the same one, on guitar. Tony Levin is on this bass guitar, Chapman stick. Jim Kelter, I think it's Keltner, on drums. Carmen Appice on drums. Steve Foreman on percussion. Tom Scott on alto sax and soprano sax. John Helliwell, yes, the John Helliwell from Supertramp, on saxophone as well. Scott Page, tenor sax. Darlene Koholdenhoven, I think that's how you pronounce it, credited as Darlene, on backing vocals. Carmen Twiley on backing vocals. Phyllis St. James backing vocals, and Donnie Gerald on backing vocals. So quite a few people on this album. And actually there's a couple of things here that are a little bit to note as well. You've got, even though he's credited now as a member of the band, Richard Wright originally was just put in with the list of musicians as a session musician, if you might call it. And I think part of the reason for that was that there was some kind of contract problem. Not necessarily with the members of Pink Floyd, but that he had quit and maybe was more with the record label. I'm not 100% sure there, but there was some kind of discrepancy, and that was the reason, I think, for that. And there's some suggestion that both Nick Mason and Richard Wright were, in David Gilmour's words, a little bit traumatized from the Roger Waters thing and didn't play very much on the album. Now they've disputed that, of course, but all of this is subjective. I'm not sure what's true and what isn't true. What I know is true for sure is that this is a good album. I like this album. Maybe it's not up to the Dark Side of the Moon or Animals or one of those albums, or even Metal, but it's still a very good album, post Roger Waters album. So there are a total of, I believe, 10 tracks on here. Nope, Yeah, a total of 10 tracks. So the front half of the album is really good. I like all the songs on the front half of the album quite a bit. Back half of the album, not so much. It's the problem with the back half of the album is that for the most part it's just bits and pieces playing different stuff. So, but we'll get into it as we go along. But it definitely has that Pink Floyd flavor to it. It sounds like a Pink Floyd album. David Gilmour's voice adds a lot to that, but it has that melodic kind of heavy keyboards with lots of noises going on and that melodic sound that Pink Floyd's known for. A very spacey album. In Ascension, that's what I feel. It's a very spacey album. But it's really quite good. I quite like this album. So starts off with the song Sign of Life. This opens with a nice kind of boat in the water feel. Feels like there's a boat on the water. You can hear the water moving against it and stuff like that. Then there's this kind of synthesizer part that adds a kind of a background to the atmosphere. So it's almost like it then starts to become a spacey feel to it. It's pretty much dominated by this throughout the entire track. It's got this a little bit of a slow melodic guitar part. And there's also no vocals on this song. So of the first 5 songs on the album, this is to me the weakest. There's no vocals. I like my Floyd with vocals. I don't mind some instrumental parts if they add to the song, right? Learning to Fly is the next track out. This is probably my favorite track on the album. Quite good. Starts out with this wind sound, very heavy drum part, and a kind of heavy, slow melodic guitar riff that goes on throughout the track. Gilmour's unmistakable Floydish voice here, really good. Catchy track. The solo is melodic and catchy, and lots of radio noises, as you get with most Floyd albums have built in lots of noises to their album, and this is probably my favorite track. Like I said, it's quite catchy. Next is Dogs of War. A little bit more noises, pulsating synthesizer parts here, harsh vocals. He's almost like forcing it out of his voice here. Guitar sounds are a little bit more scrapey and distorted at times, but it has a nice catchy melodic harsh keyboards and guitar solo part here as well. I would say it's pretty heavily distorted as well, but it's a great track. I like it a lot. Next up we have One Slip. This one I like a little better. So these next 2 tracks, One Slip and On the Turning Away, both really good. Probably my next couple of favorite tracks here. It's got a low-end acoustic percussion sound going on here, mixed with some electronic noises, very common with Pink Floyd. It builds up this acoustic percussion sound throughout the track. Becomes a little bit more fast-paced, with the synthesizers dominating the background. A nice rhythm section here as well. The percussion in this is probably the forward part in it, but it's really quite catchy. I do like this track quite a bit, One Slip. The next track out, On a Turning Away, another good track, really Floyd sounding, nice synthesizer part. Vocals are melodic, forward, clear. The slow melodic track gets a catchy, very emotional track, and it builds up and as it moves along, it kind of builds up and then almost kind of collapses at the end, I guess. Maybe you might want to put it, or it goes to a crescendo type sound. So now on the flip side, you get the opening kind of song. I don't know if this was I don't think this album, was this album released as a LP? I think it might have been. But anyways, Yet Another Movie is the next track. Another slow opening. Nice drum sequencer sounds here. It grows more synthesizer driven and percussion parts. The vocals are a little clear, concise, slow, melodic, typical Floyd sound. The sound gets bigger as it goes along, and there's lots of voices and radio sounds going on throughout this track too, but I do like this track quite a bit. Next, we have the next 4 tracks are all kind of, to me, kind of one track, even though they're bits and pieces. Round and Round, this is a slow melodic percussion synthesizer sound and some slow melodic guitar parts, little bits and pieces. Very short track, almost a minute, a little over a minute. Next track's also over a minute, a little under 2 minutes. Got some machine parts here. Oh, that's the name of the song, sorry, a new machine part. And then it's got this symphonic vocal voice part. There's really not anything specific going on here. These are just bits and pieces. Then you got Terminal Frost, which is the next song. It's it's longer. It's about 6 minutes. Heavy drum riff with some piano, some guitar parts, slow melodic. Nice sax parts on this particular track too. Actually, quite a few different instruments here. There is no vocals on this particular track. And then you have a new machine, which is a 2-parter. So this is part 2. Another symphonic vocal voice part thrown in here, kind of to tie the front half and the back half kind of together a little bit. And then you end up with the last track on the album, which is called Sorrow. This is a good track. He also has done this on the recent live one that I like quite a bit. Nice synthesizer open, heavy distortion on the guitar riff and part throughout this track. Kind of catchy, heavy forward drum and bass riff going on pretty much throughout the whole track. Vocals are very Floyd-like. David Gilmour doing his deep kind of hollow effect voice, I call it. Nice catchy beat. The guitar solo is really good, pretty strong. Multi-instrumental fills throughout the track. It's one of the heaviest tracks on the album. I do like it. Probably I don't think it's my favorite song on the track on the album, but it's pretty close between this and Learning to Fly. I liked both of them quite a bit. So that's it. That's it for the album. Pink Floyd's Momentary Lapse of Reason. I think originally was supposed to be a David Gilmour solo album, which makes sense since the final cut was a Roger Waters solo album. But I think this sounds more Floydish than the final cut, which I don't really care much for. So anyways, that's tonight's album, Pink Floyd's Momentary Lapse of Reason. Please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to make any comments about the album, there's a lot going on this album, a lot of different things going on this album, a lot of things going off on the album that aren't on the album, but there's all kinds of complications too. So if you want to put any comments about the album in the comment sections, you can, or talk about Pink Floyd, or just put whatever you want to talk about here in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer any questions or comment on anything you say. So please have yourself a good evening and good night and goodbye here from the Prog Monster.